Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hearthstone Champions League. This is Group C. We're about to jump into the game between Lifecoach and Trump. It looks like they're in mulligans right now. Once again, I'm TJ. Joining me today to bring you guys the matches is Protohype from Follow Esports. Once again, how you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing.
Amazing. Okay.
Amazing.
Wow. Fantastic. Well, it looks like these guys are getting their stuff set up really quickly. Lifecoach versus Trump. And keep in mind, this is the second match of Group C. Earlier we saw Nimsh take out Dog 3-1. This is a double elimination group bracket. If you want more information, you can head over to hcl.gg and /ENG for the English language version of the website. And Group A and B were broadcast as well over the past 2 days, and the playoff stage will take place next week. So the winner of this match will move on to face Nimsh. It is going to be Druid for Lifecoach and Handlock for Trump.
Druid for Lifecoach. Interesting. Lifecoach playing Paladin, Mage, and Druid today.
Mm-hmm.
None of the staple Warlock that he's known for, or that we have seen in the past. I find that pretty interesting. If you had shown me those lineups blind, I definitely would have put Trump on Paladin, Mage, and Druid.
Yeah.
And Lifecoach on Paladin, Warlock, and Warrior. So that's pretty interesting.
I think Lifecoach might have a sour taste in his mouth from the performance of his Handlock at the World Championships.
Yeah, that's a true point.
Yeah, he was a Handlock advocate for so long, and he tried to switch it up to make things a little bit different to move into the meta that was at the World Championships, but it just didn't work out. I'd argue that his Warrior had an even tougher time going to that match,
Sure.
I'm actually it's cool to see him move away from that, because it's been a while since he's moved away from that very specific Druid. He was playing Druid, Warrior, Warlock for so long.
Yeah, that lineup was quite strong for a really long period of time. He may just be working on Reno in the lab, just have some secret tech for the top 8.
Yeah,
that should be a pretty interesting match.
So as an aside, these guys can use cards from League of Explorers Week 1, so that's the Temple of Orsis, but they submitted the decks before Udaman, so Week 2 was released yesterday, so they won't be able to use any of the cards from the second wing. So
no Summoning Stone.
No Summoning Stone, no Brand Bronzebeard, no Unearthed Raptor or Mounted Raptor. I can't remember any of the other Wing 2 cards, but those are the ones that seem the strongest. Oh, the Trog.
Fun.
Yeah. So right away, these guys, of course, in Lifecoach fashion, taking a while. His hand is decent because he has Innervate Ancient of Lore, but other than that, it's all spells. So he has no threats to develop before getting out the Ancient of Lore, which against Handlock can sometimes be a little bit rough because you want to get that early pressure.
True. And I think he's definitely conceding that he will have to just play the Lore on turn 4 and see what happens from there. Probably won't be happy about it, but it's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah. Trump, on the other hand, he has one of his big threats, so next turn he will be able to tap and play the Mountain Giant if he so chooses. Or no, he won't actually, since he used the Dark Bomb on turn 2. No, he will be able to. He will be able to. Yeah. For some reason, I thought he was like he'd used the coin somewhere along the line. I'm like, what the heck? That Mountain Giant is unnatural. That he went first. His Mountain Giant should have come out already. Confused me a little bit, but yeah, he will be able to play Mountain Giant next turn. No other threats to follow that up though. Lifecoach does have an option now. He did draw into Belcher, so he did draw into a 5-drop. So if he wants, Trump's just like, I'm out of here, man.
He's like, I know where this is going.
Yeah. Oh, so he can play Belcher and then Innervate out Ancient of Lore next turn. But I kind of just like the Ancient of Lore right now.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the Lifecoach agrees with you. I think he does want to hit that draw for the BGH as soon as possible, and defending the 5/5 with the Belcher body is always a solid play.
Mm-hmm. Wow, more spells he draws into.
This is a pretty impressive hand. You don't see that very often.
Nope. And I imagine it's just pretty standard play here for Trump. Trump plays a lot of Handlock.
He does.
It's one of his most played decks. I remember when he first started to get into Constructed, Handlock was one of the decks that he latched onto first, and not sure how strong it is anymore. It was a really fast meta a little bit ago, especially during the World Championships. So you either were playing a lot of aggro, a lot of fast decks, or you were playing, those decks that were made to counter it, like the Freeze Mage lineups that a lot of players played. And Handlock just didn't have a place.
Sure, and especially on ladder with so much Secret Paladin coming into play, people were definitely off of trying to play sweepers into things that just couldn't die. So that's definitely a contributing factor.
Yeah, and Aggro Druid just beats
sure.
Handlock on
very, very frustrating.
Like turn 6 consistently. It's pretty ridiculous. You get out of Fel Reaver, they don't have a BGH, all of a sudden you Savage Roar next turn and you win the game. It can sometimes be
the actual dream.
Tough. The actual dream. Well, Lifecoach is putting on some pressure. He does have combo in his hand. That's one thing to note. Being spell heavy means that you can consistently, go for that pressure early on. And I can't quite see the far left card here for Trump. I don't think it's a Sunfury Protector. It looks like a second Hellfire to me, if I remember correctly. So he can't play Mountain Giant and taunt it up, but he can play Ancient Watcher and taunt it up if he's afraid. But I don't even know if he'd be afraid at this stage. He's still at 18 life. He can trade into the Ancient of Lore, and he can develop another threat because he saw that Lifecoach didn't have a BGH.
Sure. And see, Lifecoach would have had pretty close to lethal off of the Savage Roar 8 and the 6, 14. That actually would have been exact with the swipe and the Savage Roar. But Trump just playing the second Mountain Giant, knowing that he's not really in any danger yet, having already seen an Innervate, and no Thorson coming down rather yet for Lifecoach. So pretty safe to just play the second Mountain Giant, and the first one not getting BGH was pretty solid as well.
Yeah. All right, so a little bit of a tougher turn here for Lifecoach. If he plays the second Shade, that's the only creature he develops, and he's really vulnerable to Hellfire in that situation, because both of his Shades would be under 3 health.
Well, certainly.
That Giant's a little bit frightening, being at 3 health, so he can swipe that, and playing the Shade would, put that threat on the board for combo, which is 2 turns away. But can he put Trump on not having AoE? I don't think he can, so it looks like just Wrath plus Belcher is going to be another play.
Yeah, I think that was less straightforward than most people would believe, just because Lifecoach's hand, the composition of his hand is so odd and off. I think he wanted to use that Wrath to draw ideally, but opts to go ahead and use it on the Mountain Giant. I think there is definitely a reality where swipe is decent there, but he definitely wanted to get the Belcher on the board, so it fit too well for that turn for him to not do that.
And 2 swipes being clunky, when my hand's that many spells, I'm almost always inclined to try and get a draw out of that Wrath.
Exactly.
Well, Dr. Boom feels automatic here, especially since you played 2 Mountain Giants, and Lifecoach still hasn't played a BGH.
Definitely. And again, having already seen the Innervate, he kind of has to just go in on that because Defender really isn't good enough.
Yeah.
You can't play the Molten yet, so Dr. Boom really the only play on that turn.
I think, okay, so he's got 5 damage on board. Each Savage Roar is 6, that's 12, 17, plus a hero power. I think that's lethal. With the Savage Roar pickup.
6 each plus the 4. 12.
Yeah, it's exactly 18.
Wow.
And just like that, and you can see, let's look at Trump's reaction to this. Usually you don't expect to lose from 18 health, and Trump gives a little bit of an eye roll, but that's just the power of Druid in this matchup. If you're going to damage yourself against a Druid and they're going to get closer to combo, Lifecoach looks a little bit confused that it even got to that point, but he's going to take a really quick lead in the series and go up 1-0, and Trump is sort of just left stunned.
Yeah, it was really strange to see him draw even more spells after that early hand composition, but it wound up working out for him. I think if he had drawn a mix, that may have been a more awkward game than Lifecoach would like to admit.
Yeah, definitely. and so Trump's got to go back to the drawing board. Lifecoach still has Mage and Paladin left. Still don't know what kind of Paladin or what kind of Mage they are. We've yet to see them today. It's the first match that both of these players have played in this tournament. So, looks like mid-range from Trump here with his Paladin deck with a Tuskar Jouster.
Jouster. That's not a card you see very much anymore. Typically, people favor the automatic heal off of heal bot, costing the same and giving up some of the stats. Maybe even a Reno-centric strategy, but Tuskar you don't see very often.
Yeah, you give up the body for the heal bot to get that automatic heal, but you know, a 5/5 body for 5 mana is pretty strong by itself, and then the bonus you get that heal is pretty sick. Is this mid-range Paladin versus mid-range? This could be control-y Paladin.
Ooh,
granted, the difference between mid-range Paladin and control Paladin is usually like one card. Usually it's double equality. If you have the exact same deck, but you put 2 equalities in one deck, all of a sudden one's a control Paladin and one's a mid-range Paladin. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, and 2 cards you typically don't see in any Paladin shell really are Thorson and Kel'Thuzad, so I'm interested to see if he's changed up the legendary package almost entirely at the top, or if that's the extent of the variation. And Ooze coming out for Trump.
These are really interesting decks. And Paladin Sky Golem, okay.
Whoa, okay. This is exciting. I expected a more generic version of this Paladin here, but I was clearly wrong.
So Trump's looks pretty standard other than the Ooze. Just a standard mid-range Paladin. But yeah, we've only seen 7 cards. Lifecoach just looks pretty crazy. Kel'Thuzad can get a lot of value with cards like Paladin Sky Golem, because of course if you play it, you get the Paladin Sky Golem back, plus you get the Death Rattle. This is a Garrison Commander.
A Garrison Commander.
Maybe a fencing coach in here. Hey, do not bash the fencing coach. Fencing coach turn 2, Murloc Knight turn 3 with the coin.
Promote synergy.
You get a free hero power. So basically, on turn 4 or turn 3, you're playing Murloc Knight plus a hero power, plus getting a free Murloc.
You're throwing some things at me, man.
With fencing coach. It's overpowered.
It's overpowered.
It's almost as overpowered as the old turn 2 hero power, turn 3 Tinkmaster Overspark, turn your hero power into a Devilsaur.
That's yeah, I've definitely had nightmares about that play. Back in season 4. But Lifecoach's hand looking really strong on a slower start from Trump.
Yeah. I was gonna say Lifecoach is confused about the Ooze, but that's how his face has looked the entire match so far.
Confused Ooze.
Yeah. Picks up a shield and mini bot, which is gonna help his curve a little bit here, going into the big turns where he has Emperor Thorsan, Pilot Sky Golem, Kel'Thuzad.
I wonder if you just commit the Peacekeeper to the board because it fits your curve and it's supporting the Sky Golem pretty well next turn. I think that's a line that he could opt for. You may just go ahead and hero power. I can't imagine that playing a Peacekeeper on just the Ooze is comparable value for the great Lifecoach.
Yeah, it's tough. You have to sort of realize when the tempo play is right and when the value play is right.
Exactly.
And in Paladin versus Paladin, it feels like tempo matters a lot. Wow, okay. Just going to consecrate to sort of reset the board going into the next turn. I guess Eldar Peacekeeper would have been another way to kind of reset the board, because it would have traded in, to the reduced attack slime.
For sure. It's an interesting play. I think this is probably the best line that he had going into the Thorson. I would imagine if you're clearing the board like this, you definitely want to be playing the Thorson the turn after, especially with how full his hand currently is. You're never getting more value out of Thorson than you are on this hand right now.
Yeah.
So I suspect that we'll see that after some deliberation.
Yeah. This opens up a lot of options for Lifecoach next turn as well, since he did have multiple high cost drops plus some low cost. The next turn he can play Dr. Boom, Shield a Mini Bot, or
right, ton of options.
Yeah, just play Kel'Thuzad if he can get value out of it, which probably the least likely of options since he doesn't look like he's going to be able to get any value out of it at all.
Trump definitely gonna opt to True Silver down this Thorson. He does have the ability to play the Zombie Chow if he would like to. He's probably going to save the coin for an eventual muster play, probably working in a hero power on that Quartermaster. It's pretty much the only thing he could use the coin for at this point, or to just fit in that Zombie Chow on curve if you would like to. But just gonna keep hero powering because he does have that Quartermaster in hand.
Yeah, also fits up his mana a little bit better too.
Definitely.
Going for that mana utilization. Lifecoach also with a Tuskar Jouster.
Wow, that card is making a savage comeback because honestly, I just assumed people would be playing Healbot in its place. But...
yeah, the meta is a strange place right now.
It's a strange and dangerous place.
Well, there's equality picked up. The only thing it would do now would be no, it wouldn't do anything because he has BGH tucked in there. Just how does he want these boombots to fall?
Yeah, I like killing off the Silverhand group instead of going for the double boombot kill. Unfortunately, that will leave his BGH wide open to the wrath of the minibot. But opting to save that second Silverhand charge and just make the value play with the Shredder.
Yeah,
I kind of like that. Saving the equality, saving his True Silver. He's got a lot of options left. He still has the Silence for the Paladin Sky Golem in the event that it comes down. Looking for a muster pretty much exclusively at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if we see a Lay on Hands coming down next turn.
Just to dig for it.
From Trump's side, definitely.
Lifecoach has a lot of heavy hitters. This deck is super heavy. I mean, we probably haven't seen much of the early game yet.
What early game?
But
Lifecoach.
So far, it looks like Lifecoach is under the impression that this Paladin deck doesn't really need any early game. But this is a little bit of a tougher turn. Probably one of the 5 drops plus Eldar Peacekeeper onto the Shredder feels like it'd be a decent play. You know, you get the mix of tempo. It seems like he's been protective of the Eldar Peacekeeper, so he might weave in a hero power. But leaving that Shredder on board would trade into Paladin Sky Golem if he plays it, or.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a whole lot. Yeah, I kind of expected a Belcher play here. May just end up saving the Peacekeeper until he really needs it. I think that's pretty much how you have to play. How you have to play these control mirrors.
Yeah.
As tempting as it may be to make a Shredder really tiny and feel bad about himself,
Yeah.
Just gotta hold it for something like a Tyrion or a Boom or what have you.
And whether or not you play the Elder Peacekeeper, Trump still has to trade both the Shredder and the True Silver Champion into the Sludge Belcher. So whether that was 1 attack or 4 attack, it still would have been going in that Paladin Shredder, or still would have been going in that Sludge Belcher. It still would have dying. So yeah, I agree with your reasoning there.
And a solid pickup in Tyrion. Having to Lay on Hands there isn't terrible, but you definitely would prefer to be playing minions, and Tyrion really fit the bill there.
Yeah. Another Belcher. A lot of 5 drops. Technically, Paladin Sky Golem's not a 5 drop, but
we're working with it.
Yeah.
Wow, 4 damage.
Poor Tyrion. It's the Kel'Thuzad turn. I think it is. If he trades this in, it's definitely Kel'Thuzad.
Apparently, Lifecoach agrees, and they're off to the races.
So he
shielded minibot back, a 1/1. He is all sorts of excited right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his camera was a little bit too high there, but like the rest of his body was RPing as Kel'Thuzad. Like he did some hand movements that we couldn't quite catch on the webcam, but
definitely.
I'm absolutely sure. I'd imagine he plays Ragnaros in this deck too. And I'm really excited for that because every time Lifecoach plays Ragnaros,
interpretive dance ensues.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Equality Consecrate definitely going to be a necessity for clearing out this Kel'Thuzad board.
Yeah.
And Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, still though, that basically is a quality consecrate just to take out Kel'Thuzad.
Essentially, yeah.
So, I'm sure Lifecoach is not too upset about that because he got a lot of value out of that Kel'Thuzad already.
Right.
So
And this follow-up is going to be absolutely brutal. Being able to protect a piloted Sky Golem with another Belcher, or yeah, I can't imagine he would Tuskar this turn, but the heavy hitters are definitely coming down.
Mm-hmm.
You could also opt to play the Belcher a turn after and the Jouster on the same turn, and just go with the Sky Golem and the Shredder.
Getting a close-up of the Ashbringer right now.
So he does opt to put those stats down on the board.
Murloc Knight.
Apprentice to Sir Finley Murgleton.
Yep. Partner in crime to the fencing coach.
Every Finn is awesome.
What wing is that one going to be in?
I don't know.
The last one.
I suspect so. There's it has to be one of the most exciting cards.
Yeah. Well, he finds the muster for battle.
And the Reno pickup. Interesting. You know, if you had to, if I had to make a prediction earlier on in the game, which of these players was running Reno, definitely would have put that on Lifecoach, but Trump also picking one up.
Yeah. This is going to be a pretty grindy game, to say the least. I feel like I thought Trump had some two-ofs in this deck. Did we see 2 Murloc Knights, or did he throw away one?
I think we've only seen 1 Murloc Knight. I could be wrong, but we did see two equalities, right?
2 equalities. Actually, no, we didn't see 2 equalities.
Was it 2 consecrates? Or was it?
I don't know. You can run 2 of a few cards to still get good value out of Reno.
Sure.
But as soon as you add duplicates of a card into your deck with Reno, it reduces the chance that like exponentially that you're not going to get the heal out of Reno.
I saw another consecrate or an equality, but
we've seen a lot of paladins today. I think I'm just mixing up.
Together.
Yeah. So Lifecoach is like definitely, you can tell the identity of it seems like a Reno deck. Just because actually, you know what? I don't know, because he's run 2 Belchers.
He did.
So it's hard to tell really until you actually see it, because you can run multiples of a few cards, like a few key cards, but Belcher doesn't seem like one that I would run 2 of if I can only run a few of 2, because you can always put in like a Senjin, even though it's not as strong as a Belcher, it still sort of fits that same role. It's really interesting stuff. Or even the Master Jouster, that 5/6 that jousts.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think Jab was playing one of those at Worlds, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think Belcher might be a little bit too good against the onslaught of piloted shredders coming in to not run 2 of, so that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
But you're right, the Lifecoach's deck absolutely looks like the Reno-centric list that we've been seeing.
Oh, there's
Trump with an interesting read there. He didn't. I suppose there were definitely other plays with Murloc Knight, but having the ability to kill off the Jouster and go all in on the Quartermaster, and especially even if his board gets wiped here, it's not actually that bad for him. So I really like that play from Trump.
Yeah, the Murloc Knight. If his board gets wiped, then that means that's a lot of resources used. Then he can do some Murloc Knight shenanigans.
Definitely. And what was looking like an unwinnable game for Lifecoach early on is now turned into, an unwinnable game from Trump's perspective, just based on the amount of stats that he had in his hand, is looking quite good for him. He has the Reno as backup, and in these slower mid-rangey grindy matchups, Reno definitely is quite the house, and he's a 4/6 as well. It's nothing to scoff at in terms of stats.
Yeah. Alright. Tyrion comes down. It's going to do a lot of work here. It's going to take a lot to get traded into this. But, you know, Trump can be okay about taking damage just because he knows that he has that Reno Jackson tucked away.
Definitely. I was kind of expecting you to throw out your best Tyrion impression, and I was a little sad.
No.
The hard no. Yeah.
I learned very early in my casting career that impressions just do not suit
Noted for
me.
sure.
Yeah. If you're really good at them, then you can do them, but
Sure.
I'm not gonna.
I just thought you were that guy, man.
I'm not gonna do Tyrion that type of injustice.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. The Bluegill Warrior. It's gonna help him trade down this board a little bit, and using its Light's Justice here to attack into Tyrion is definitely the most efficient way to remove this board. So.
For sure, definitely going for a full clear. That is the case. Doesn't want to get randomly blown out by a Blessing of the King's Play.
Mm-hmm.
Although if he if he left 1/1 on the board, there'd be 5. He would need a Consecrate as well. But...
Okay. Wants to protect his Murloc Knight here, so uses the Defender of Argus on the Quartermaster. And there's a Knife Juggler. And all of a sudden, Lifecoach, like, where did all these big threats go?
Yeah, his hand was looking so solid. And that a quality Consecrate on the Kel'Thuzad really put in some work.
Just been whittled away slowly.
Trying to think of comeback mechanics from Lifecoach's perspective. Really, the only thing that he could hit at this point is a Consecrate. And even then, having a Reno and whatever else Trump is drawing on the following turn, it's looking pretty grim.
Yeah. And Lifecoach held onto that Peacekeeper for so long, trying to save it for something more impactful. Oh no. Harrison Jones off the top means that Ashbringer is most likely going to be no longer. The only thing that Trump might be worried about is a fatigue battle, but at this stage he's got Reno Jackson. He's got big command of the board. Lifecoach has 1 card left. So I don't think you can really, be worried about that whatsoever.
Yeah, especially Lifecoach being on 1 card and not having a equality on turns prior. Definitely just a win more situation at this point for Trump.
Yeah.
And I would not be shocked to see him just go ahead and... Oh, okay. He's going to take the more conservative route. Man, another charge for Elect. That's impressive. That is just straight impressive.
I feel like that happens really often. Bluegill Warrior or Murk-Eye. I guess there's not really that many Murlocs, so...
Sure enough. That'll change, friend. That'll change.
It will change. Zach, I can assure you. It will change.
Interesting. So he knows even if he rips the Consecrate, he's not actually dead. So Trump pushing for a 2-turn lethal here.
Mm-hmm.
And looking to close this game out pretty handily.
Yeah, not even having to use the Reno Jackson. This was just a good old-fashioned, Paladin board control game is what it was.
Definitely. I kind of expected Trump to go in on the Reno last turn. Maybe just like face tank the 6 damage with the Light's Justice and maybe try and full clear. But I definitely like his 2-turn lethal play significantly more. And let's see, he's got 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And that's going to be game.
Yeah, lethal on board. Lifecoach realizes that, so he does go ahead and concede, which means Trump ties up the series 1-1, taking a win with that Reno Jackson Paladin. And we didn't see a Reno Jackson come out from Lifecoach, so we saw 2 Belchers, and I'm not sure what other duplicates we saw, but there's a chance that was just, a type of control Paladin, that it didn't have Reno Jackson in it. It's kind of tough to look at Paladins, weird Paladins like that nowadays and think there's not a Reno in it, but it's possible.
Yeah, and I suspect as the card pool increases, it'll be harder and harder to detect little nuances like that, especially with so many replacements being comparable to having 2 Ebs in the deck. So it's probably one of the more interesting matches I've seen in recent times, honestly, and I did not expect that of a Paladin mirror.
Yeah. I did not either. It brings us back to the golden days of Hearthstone, where it was all about trading minions.
Yeah, and not out of hand damage. You know?
Yeah, but alas, we are no longer at that stage. But yeah, so series is tied 1-1. Let's take a look at both players' decks. I still haven't found a way to put the deck lineups on screen, but I'm still working on it. I'm brainstorming as I'm casting. It's hard to multitask. But Lifecoach has still his Paladin deck left, as well as a Mage deck that we've yet to see. And Trump still has Warlock and Warrior. We did see the Warlock. It is a handlock, but we've yet to see the Warrior from Trump. So still some interesting classes left. Still 4 unique classes left with Mage Druid for Lifecoach and... Mage Paladin for Lifecoach and Warlock Warrior for Trump.
Definitely. I do recall Lifecoach playing a lot of Reno-centric decks. They're testing a lot of them on stream. So after seeing that Paladin deck, I would not be shocked to see a Freeze Mage with Reno in it coming from Lifecoach. And honestly, that's something that I would like to see against Trump's lineup.
Yeah, if it's a Control Warrior, then it's going to be really tough for Lifecoach.
Right?
Yeah, but
not in this next game in particular, but as an overall match highlight, I would like to see what Lifecoach does with his Freeze Mage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Freeze Mage was one of the decks that was being experimented. It was one of the first decks that Reno Jackson was really,
for sure,
experimented with a lot in. And Trump is going to throw out the Warrior, and it is a Control Warrior, and Lifecoach is going to throw out the Paladin once again.
Okay, and we see the Justicar getting thrown back in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Trump pulling the ooh, it's a little gross. Not really cards you want to be seeing on the play against Paladin.
Yeah. And we'll get Lifecoach's hand back here in a second. Right now, we're going to roleplay as Trump. I know everybody's favorite thing to do in their dreams.
Insert extremely serious face.
Yeah.
And really nice chair.
I've always dreamed of Trump just taking that Sharpie and freehand drawing a portrait of me without looking on his whiteboard.
Right. 100%.
Alright, well there we go. We can see Lifecoach's hand now, so wow, what a curve, look at that. Shoot a mini-bot into Muster for Battle, into Paladin Shredder. Pretty sick.
So, I suspect he'll have to shield block this turn, looking for an answer to a potential Quartermaster. Perhaps he, after seeing the strange and bizarre top end from Lifecoach, he may put him on not having one. So he opts to not draw this turn.
Yeah. It's really weird that we didn't see any of these cards from Lifecoach last game.
It's a totally different deck.
Yeah. Like this is the bottom 15 card. So we can see now that this is not a Reno Jackson Paladin from Lifecoach, most likely, because we know he runs multiple copies of at least 3 cards with Consecrate, Muster for Battle, and Shield or Sludge Belcher.
Maybe
and he's
just good.
Yeah, maybe. And Trump realizes he's going to have to dig, so using Harrison Jones on a 2-charge Light's Justice is sort of a desperation play. It must feel like from Lifecoach. Because you're most likely going to get at least 1 card from it, so he realizes that he just doesn't have an answer to this big board.
Yeah, that is a very relevant point. Trump really hurting for a Brawl at this point, which is kind of depressing because Brawl really doesn't do much against the board that Lifecoach currently has and anything that he'll play after, but may need it regardless, not having any weapons whatsoever, and not having a coin to get this Baron getting out early. It's looking pretty rough from Trump's perspective. He's kind of reflecting that.
He's getting close to being dead. He's a Quartermaster top deck away. Well, I guess the armor gain will help quite a bit, so he won't be dead just yet. He'll have some time, and he's going to start utilizing these shield slams to start clearing a little bit of the damage off the board. And also, put himself in a better position going into Baron Geddon almost certainly next turn.
Definitely. I guess at this point he's just looking for a compromise on getting that Divine Shield off, but it honestly, I can't think of anything that he would really be able to do to secure that creature getting off the board. But, I mean, Baron Geddon, regardless, is going to be really good coming down on this next turn. Lifecoach does have BGH, though. But having that turn of leeway will definitely help Trump on the coming turns.
Yeah. Piloted Shredder coming down makes Baron Geddon not as attractive of an option, but you know what?
Probably necessary nonetheless.
Yeah. You can't risk your opponent just ripping that one damage from those 1/1s is a lot, and if your opponent rips a Quartermaster off the top, all of a sudden you're just dead. So there's the infamous Piloted Sky Golem.
It's an interesting card choice nowadays. Honestly, something that I forgot about entirely. And,
forgot it existed.
I definitely did. Lifecoach currently has 10 damage on board. His ability to coin up Tyrion if he so chooses. I suspect we'll just see a BGH into a Belcher type play. He does have a Shredder, Death Rattle, and a Death Rattle for the Belcher if Trump does in fact have the Brawl on the following turn. But in the current state, that is not the case. And honestly, he could probably get away with just BGH and hero powering if he really feels like it.
Yeah, the hero power goes a long way against warriors.
Definitely.
Just because they don't have reliable ways to remove it, they have to like weapon hit into it, or play a card like Baron Geddon, or a full board clear like Brawl. But opts for more power on the board, coins out the Belcher, still has Tyrion play open up for next turn, and this is a lot of pressure on the board for Trump to deal with. He's down below 10 health, and Lifecoach still has a Truesilver equipped.
Yeah, never a situation you want to be in as a warrior. Hey, the Death Fight! We're here! We've arrived.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late.
Anyway, survives over the next 2 turns. He shield blocks into the Belcher, runs the Truesilver in, the 2/2, does another 7 damage. So he would live if he nuts the draw and plays a Belcher.
No, he would not.
Oh, Consecration.
For
the 4 damage. You're absolutely
right. Because he would be able to have 11 damage on the board plus 2. No, actually, he'd be 1 damage off, I think.
Wow, math is hard. So he's got the 8.
Yeah, he'd go up to 14, and Lifecoach would be able to, after he got through the Belcher, be able to do 11 from board. So he'd Truesilver, then shield.
Able to do 12 because he can run the Belcher and the 2/2 in, and then consecrate the back end, and that would be 12, right?
Yeah. So if he shield blocks and Sludge Belchers here, he would be out of range because he'd be at 14.
For sure. I'm glad we got that result.
Yeah.
Wow, come on. No justice, no peace, dude.
Yeah. That's 2 shielded mini-bots so far that we've seen from Piloted Shredders.
He has 11 HP as opposed to the 14 that you would have had if you shield blocked.
Yeah.
So he is 1 off lethal, I believe. Lifecoach is in the current state. So he may just opt to go for the Piloted Sky Golem. Get another sticky minion on the board, clear this Belcher out, and try to lock this game up.
Yeah. Trump can stabilize. It's just going to be really tough for him to do so.
For sure.
Oh, wait. Yeah. So, no, that's... should be game, actually. Yeah, exactly 9 damage after he throws the shielded mini-bot in. Yeah, he could still get through. Yep. Because Trump didn't shield block last turn.
Wow, just don't ever ask me to count.
I was like, wait a second. Didn't he shield block last turn? Shouldn't he be at 14 health? But no, he decided to execute instead of shield block. Yeah. So there was 2 less power on the board, but Trump was at 2 less health. Or 3 less health. So he did get through. So that means a Lifecoach is going to take game number 3 in the series. He's going to go up to a 2-1 lead. So he only has 1 deck left to win, and that's Mage. If it's Freeze Mage, he put himself in at least a decent position where he knows Warrior's not the only deck left.
Right, and gave him the opportunity to not play Warrior to do it per se.
Yeah. So we're going to jump quickly into game number 4 because I think Trump realizes what type of mage this probably is. And so just automatically cues his warrior. Even if it's not freeze mage, he probably thinks that this is going to be his best chance that he has.
Sure. That's an interesting question to ask. I wonder if he could be playing like maybe a more goofy Echo Mage or Tempo, but I suspect seeing his lineup, Freeze is definitely the play here.
Mech Mage.
Oh, okay then.
So Trump, he saw the Clockwork Gnome and he gave this little head nod that he's like, oh no. God. He's like, I pegged him on Freeze. And this is a bold choice, Mech Mage. It's been a long time since I've seen Mech Mage. I guess Lifecoach is really... I wouldn't be surprised if he has a piloted Sky Golem in this deck.
Definitely. And I kind of have to admire the choice because people are kind of running rampant with Control Warrior and different variants of it, and maybe getting a little greedy with their deck construction. And Mech Mage definitely historically solid against Control Warrior with the Snow Chuggers.
The thing is, it's a bold choice also because I don't think Mech Mage would have a really good matchup against Reno decks.
That's a fair point. Yeah, they're not too quick.
And they run out of resources very quickly. They sort of empty their hand. They rely on the sticky, hard to remove boards to get them through, and like the utility.
Sure. Maybe like an Antonitis Boom, like maybe I don't know, like a Water Elemental higher end might be comparable, but you're right. They definitely don't have a lot of staying power.
Yeah, but you need all of those things in
all of them definitely
pretty quick succession in order to be able to do it. You have to have Water Elemental lock up his weapons in the mid game to put enough pressure to where Boom and Antonitis will actually be enough to end the game. So it's tough, but we'll see. Double Snow Charger to start off is a good thing against Warrior because it limits a lot of their removal, but luckily Trump did have some things to fight back on the board early on. He's just going to need to draw into that removal.
For sure. Double Deathbite in hand for Trump. It's definitely a good start for dealing with this Mech Mage board. He's going to be able to kill one of the Snow Chuggers with the creatures. He won't be able to swing with the Deathbite on his next turn. So I guess the question is, do you dig with the shield block this turn and look for a shield slam, or are you required to save it?
Belcher. That helps a lot, yeah. Because now Lifecoach is going to have to find, some type of removal spell in order to get through to continue to freeze the face and block the Deathbite damage. So,
right.
It's been a long time since I've seen Mech Mage.
Yeah, I'm kind of like drowning in nostalgia here.
So, Spider Tank plus... Hero Power? It's going to be so awkward getting through that Belcher, though.
Right. And if you can't freeze his face, I suspect you'll want to drop the Annoyatron as quickly as possible. I guess that would leave the question coming up on turn 5. He drew the Belcher off the top, so he may opt to play Mirror Entity a turn later and just commit to the Scientist or the Spider Tank like you said. Yeah, I think just more stats on the board is probably the okay. He opts to go for the Mad Scientist instead. Not playing the Annoyatron just yet.
If he doesn't deal with this Belcher, though, he could end up doing a lot of work. And he does play the Spider Tank, so it doesn't get challenged by the Belcher, but he's not going to be able to deal with it with his Hero Power this turn. And now Trump can finally start swinging away with these Death Bites.
Yeah, that's an interesting play. I don't know if I like not playing the Annoyatron on that turn, but Trump launching a Pebble in respect. So we'll definitely see a Death Sweat on the Spider Tank here. And Belcher most likely trading into that Snow Sugar to secure that next turn.
Yeah, just to make sure that he can't quite get through the Belcher to freeze his face. And also doesn't really matter if the Belcher's frozen, because you really just want it to block the damage from the board.
Sure.
You know it's going to get killed off this turn anyway, so you're not too worried about that. But Trump looks like he's going to be on the verge of stabilization.
Yeah, it was an interesting play with the mad scientist life coach opting to go ahead and play that last turn, so he didn't have anything syncing up his mana on this particular turn, and still saving that Annoyatron. So most likely using that to defend whatever. Oh, an Armor Smith, a really solid draw for Trump. Otherwise, he would have been giving him a really solid body or some draws off of the outplay, which he never wants to be doing.
Yeah, it's very true. $19 health though. That's actually pretty healthy at this stage in the game against Mech Mage. He was able to block enough to not be in a terrible position.
Right.
And Lifecoach is pretty much out of resources. He's got a Noyatron and Mirror Entity left. Mirror Entity can be problematic, but Trump has, things to throw into it that aren't quite as impactful. Like the Armor Smith, and he's going to throw out the Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the turn you want to be playing Acolyte. Since you are, as you mentioned, so healthy, run that into the Shredder, get that point of armor up. And I wonder if he just opts to go with the Death Spite on the Shredder.
Yeah.
Okay, so he does. He's going to get 2 draws on this turn, 3 armor, it'll probably want to 18. He gets an Ancient Watcher back, not good for Life
Wow. Coach. We've seen some really great Shredders today, and some really, really poor Shredders today.
The worst of the worst.
2 shielded mini-bots, and the rest have been Captain's Parrot and Ancient Watcher levels of bad.
And Trump picking up a Bash off of that most recent draw. So Bash seeming to be the new staple in Control Warrior, as far as that goes. And Bash on top of a shield block with the Shield Maiden in hand. Trump is looking incredibly healthy, especially when he's so close to the turn 9 with Alex Strauss is still in hand. I just can't see a way that Lifecoach is going to be able to do that much damage.
And oh my, this Baron Geddon
oh baby
is going to be sick. Trump might just be worried about taking the 2 damage a turn, but there is also, just a way for him to just deal with the board with Bash, and, he can develop Deathbite, like Bash the Spider Tank, develop the Deathbite, but this is about as good as Baron Geddon's going to get.
Yeah, especially if he's only being taken down to 15. He's only got 1 card in hand. There's no possible way he can have lethal the turn after.
Yeah.
And then he's got a way to lock it up with Shield Block, Bash, and Hero Power if he really wants to, And this is looking pretty awful from Lifecoach's perspective.
Also, if Trump's thinking, worst case scenario, the card sitting in Lifecoach's hand is Archmage Antonidas, he's giving him a spare part. Baron Geddon contests Archmage in most situations except for emergency coolant. Oh, Mirror Entity, forgot about that.
Oh yeah, that got blocked off.
Yeah. That changes things. That's why he took so long to make that play.
Wow. Okay, so he's got the set. He's actually dead to Fireball playing the Baron Geddon.
Holy moly!
Oh my goodness.
And he top decks the Fireball. Wow. And Lifecoach takes the series. I don't know if Trump factored in the extra 2 damage from Baron Geddon, but with that play, he kills himself. And Trump, don't listen to us.
Oh my goodness.
We can't see the secrets. You can.
we don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right, and that means Lifecoach takes the series 3-1 over Trump, and Trump looks a little bit stunned.
I know I am.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that Mirror Entity. And so that means Lifecoach will move on to face Nimsh, who won that first matchup, and Trump will move down to face Dog in the losers match, so he still has a chance to come back. But we are going to have to go to a quick break before we jump into the next match. I believe the winners match is next. I'll get confirmation on that, and I'll tweet it out the next match, but we are going to go to a quick break, so don't go anywhere, guys. The continuation of Group C for the Hearthstone Champions League will continue in just a bit.